I always knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. I remember telling my mother when I was around 10 years old, I'm going to be a commercial artist. While the name has changed, the intent hasn't. I didn't have enough life experience to create works of art worthy of a gallery wall, but I have a passion for technique, and I love to create. My experience over these many years has brought me to this philosophy of design as direction. My first job out of college, I worked for a nonprofit organization, and our board was very active at this organization. One of our board members donated the design, printing, and mailing of our yearly gala invitation. The theme was Mardi Gras, and imagine opening an invitation that was a life-size Mardi Gras mask, printed on premium paper, die cut so you could put it over your eyes. The feathers were embossed into the paper, and they used premium inks. It was gorgeous. The donors were livid, thinking that we spent all of their donations on such a frivolous expense. My old boss from when I worked in the restaurant industry would say, "It's the optics that matter, JP, not the intent." While I was preparing this talk, I got a story from a friend of mine. She'd recently traveled to Italy, and while she was there, she decided to visit a spa. As a previous health club owner, she really wanted to see how this spa incorporated all their services, so she decided to look around. While she was walking around, she came upon a sign. Imagine a green sign with a white icon of a person running, something like this. She thought to herself, where would they put a running track in this facility? So she starts walking around trying to find this running track, and eventually an employee stops her and asks her, "Is there anything I can help you with?" And she points up to the sign. She's like, "I'm just looking for this running track." The employee shakes his head and smiles and says, "No, ma'am, that means exit." She quickly realized, had there been an emergency or a fire, she wasn't getting out of that building in time. We assume our signs and symbols are universal. We assume our communication is accessible. We assume that everybody knows our intentions. We assume that they know our values and beliefs. All of that is false. According to Don Miguel Luis, assumptions are the lies we tell ourselves. Instead of assuming, use research and feedback to illuminate the way. And use emotional impact and tie emotional impact to outcomes like revenue or retention. When I first start working with clients, I usually ask questions like, who is your target market and what do they care about? And one of my clients, who owns a boutique retail store for women, answers the standard 35 to 65, women going through transitions in their life, maybe divorce, maybe empty nest syndrome. But then she took it a step further. She wants women that want her to be their very best honest friend. She knows her target, and all of her messaging and images follow that. She's creating a brand image with knowing her target market that much. We obsess over keywords, but we don't update the content to align with our client solutions. We analyze analytics, but we don't update user experience to ensure the best possible solutions for our clients. I have a 15-year-old daughter, and we live in a household with my parents who are younger boomers. My 15-year-old will rarely sit through a television show, let alone a movie, preferring the micro-interactions that come from social media. And if she has a question, she prefers to use the little computer that's attached to her hand. Apparently, Google's not as chatty as I am. However, my parents still write handwritten notes, still print out PDF recipe cards, and cannot wait for the movie marathon that encompasses the Christmas season. Shifting from designing for decoration to design to direction requires new mindsets and new tools. We've always done it this way, or it's always worked this way, become phrases that quietly stall progress. Most of that emotion comes from fear. Fear of learning curves, fear of overwhelm, and fear of irrelevance. Meet that emotion with empathy and move through it with evidence. Young in my design career, I worked for a local agency, and my first project was for a client that was opening a food truck they were selling American comfort food, and their number one, or their signature dish, was going to be fried chicken. I spent hours designing the most beautiful fried chicken, or the most beautiful chicken. He wasn't fried yet. All the feathers encompassed all the brand colors that the client desired, and the typography selection perfectly aligned with the creative that I created. I showed the image to my boss, and she was like, "We knocked this out of the park, send it along." So I sent it along to the client, and over that weekend, she showed it to all of her family and friends. And that Monday, I came back to an email that was 3 pages long of all that feedback. After 10 iterations of this logo, the client finally fired me. I couldn't get there, but I learned from that project. I learned how to ask the right questions, but I also learned that not all feedback is valuable. Some of it's quite worthless, actually. I prefer WordPress and the theme Divi because it's a vast amount of design tools and options for accessibility. Accessibility matters. If someone cannot read your message, engage with your message, experience your message, they're not getting your message. Accessibility is type size, color contrast, how fast your motion graphics move, if you add captions to your videos, alt tags to pictures on your website, all of these things matter. Because if someone cannot experience your message, they are not going to get your call to action either. Shifting from design to direction does require a new way of thinking. By choosing design as direction, you answer questions before they're asked. Where do I click next? What am I supposed to do? How do I make a purchase? Design as direction offers signposts so that all those questions are answered. So instead of designing for decoration, instead of designing just to get it out the door, instead of designing just to get it done, let's design to lead and communicate. Thank you.